Hello, welcome to Power Lunch. Just pulling up Blab as we speak. Let's do it. 1 second. All right. Business, coaching. Hate this part. Now, start it. Well, you've joined me. I've been like 2 weeks without a power lunch. 2 weeks without one. And now we're here. We're on. And I can tell you one of the things that breaks my heart the most are watching individual people who work for themselves think like limited human beings instead of thinking like businesses. Now, obviously, the challenge is when you have multiple forms of streams of income, then you also have, oh, excuse me, cat. I'm kind of trying to broadcast here. Do you mind? No, my cat really doesn't care. He doesn't give a crap. Excuse me, cat. I'm in the middle of something here. This is the challenge of working from home with your pets. So, you work for yourself. You work at home. You're running under your own steam. Terrific. Great. Good. Are you settled now? Jesus. The problem is there's only so much work you can do. There's only so much stuff you can do in a day. And so what happens is that you start to limit the flow. I'm guilty of this. I start to close the aperture because I'm afraid I can't take on too much because then I don't want to disappoint. So I'll just take on what I can handle. Wrong. Wrong idea. Wrong approach to running your own business. And no one has made this more clear to me than Grant Cardone, who said, why are you calling yourself a solopreneur? You don't get points for doing it by yourself. And he's 100% right. And that's pretty hard, seeing as how I built my show, Solopreneur, on that concept. But the fact is, I don't mind calling it solopreneur for now because it taps the people who see themselves as that. Now, you've heard me say you really shouldn't think of yourself as a freelancer. That word's got to go. Now, the fact of freelancing exists. The fact that you're going to take work from companies when they don't have the bandwidth to, you want to be a regular freelancer. I get that idea, but I don't want you to think like that for a few reasons. The most important being that you will command lower fees and be in a position of need instead of a position of power, right? So, one of the things that, and there's a few ways that you keep yourself from acting like a business. And one is, and I see this so many times, is so number one, limiting how much work you can take on instead of finding help. And you say, well, but I'm the only one who can do it. There is a lot of stuff maybe only you can do. But the goal is to teach other people, to get other people to help you. I'm doing that now. I spend more on help than I have ever, have before, hiring people to help me. Why? Because if I try to do it on my own, there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to do it, and then I'm locked into not earning enough. So we're going to talk about a few areas where you're doing it, okay? And one of them that I want to go to, and by the way, I am, yes, you want smarter people. You want great people. Actually, you know what? This reminds me of something I want to tell you. First, I am on Blab too, so if you want to hop on there, if you have a question, please join me over there because then I can actually talk to you at some point in this game over the next little bit because Power Lunch is 30 minutes or less and then you can go get something to eat. Get on with your day. Maybe you're eating right now. So here's one of the things you're doing. You're showing too much under the hood stuff. People are going to ask you when you work for yourself, well, what do you do? And how do you work exactly? That's like my favorite question. I love when people say, how do you work? What it means is, I'm thinking of hiring you. What do you cost? And when do I pay you? That's the way I see it. When people say, how do you work? They want to know if you're hourly, by project, all that stuff. Now, it depends on who. And yes, of course, you can customize packages to whomever you're talking with. But what happens with a lot of solopreneurs is they see themselves as just one person. And what happens is they start to give or explain too much about what they don't have. Well, I don't know how to do that, but I could do this. But, I know someone who can do X, Y, Z. And it's like, stop showing people the holes in your operation. So someone says to me, can you do website copy, or can you do social media, blah, blah, blah. Or can you handle design? I'll say, like, I mean, obviously they're asking me, am I a designer? No, I'm not a designer. But if someone says, do you handle design? Can you help with logo stuff? I don't go, well, I don't know, but I have someone who you could pay them. And that, no. You've got to sell yourself to a client. You, the person, yes, because they want to like you and get along with you, but you, the business. And that means not saying. I mean, can you imagine doing a job with Nike? I don't know why I always think of that brand, but think of it as, say you're doing, you're going to get into business with Nike, okay? And Nike, and you say, hey, well, I'm sure you're Nike. You can handle this and this. Does Nike go, well, our HR department, well, that woman's out right now. I'm sure we could find someone. Maybe we can get a freelancer. It's like, don't show me under the hood. I want a certain result from you. Don't start qualifying and disqualifying yourself as an operation. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because this happens a lot. I've seen it. I heard it on a call with someone I coach. He was taking, because I coach people in media as well. I had to host shows, podcasts, whatever, and he got a caller. And the caller said, well, I don't do that job, but I have someone I hire to do that. And he said, look, I'm not looking to put money in your vendors' pockets. You need to sell me on you. And I was like, God, it's 100% right. And there's times when I've done that. I've said, yeah, actually, I know someone who'd be great, and we could talk to them, and you can figure out if you want to use them. Don't give me more work as a potential client of yours. You being a business, you need to do the work for me. If it were me, I'd say, yes, I can handle that. I've got a great team. I've got designers, social media people, blah, blah, blah. We can handle all of that. I function as an agency that way. And when you hire me, you're hiring me and my agency. It doesn't mean I have to design the logo. I can't design the logo. It doesn't matter. But will I have my hand in it? Will I guide that through? Yes. Now, I want to hear from you. People on Blab, I'm talking to you too. We are on Blab if you want to hop over there, if you've got a question that you want to come on and talk about, where thinking like a business has you hamstrung, or actually thinking like a solopreneur has you hamstrung. That is one of the big issues. Am I right, Blabbers? You need to present a united front as a business, as a team. And so, does that mean you have to have employees? No, I don't have full-time employees. It doesn't matter. Think about it. I have people on my team that I rely on, that I trust very much, whose work I admire. I don't pay them a full-time thing. I'm not paying benefits. They are contractors. But the relationship isn't like, well, they're not really my employees, so they're not real. They're part of I choose them each time, every time. They're my constellation of talent. Those are the people. Do I say to my client, well, there's this woman, I don't pay her benefits, but she's really good, and I pay her hourly. What the hell do they care? It doesn't matter. So you don't want to keep showing. It's kind of like, I just think of like Wizard of Oz. People keep showing like the man behind the curtain, like, oh yeah, well, I'm just me back here. See, it's just me, and I'd have to find. I'm sure I could find someone. Don't make your effort at sourcing talent my problem. I just said that recently. I felt like an idiot after the meeting showed too much secret sauce. Yes. It's not the secret sauce. I mean, they want to see your secret sauce, but when you explain too much of the workings of it, no other companies do that. No companies do that. That's none of your business, right? As a client of theirs, they're like, we've got it. We will handle it. That's what they do. So that's critical. A united front. I don't break down and explain, well, he's not really, it kind of like if I had a family of kids, I had 8 kids, I was like, well, that one is really the best student, and this one I adopted, and this one I'm fostering, and so he's not really my kid. Good. So, do you see how that would be like, oh, like it breaks down it creates this you want to not create the illusion, it's not like fake, but you've got to create the presentation of, this is my company, this is what I do. So I have people on my team, right? Constellation of talent on my team. But I'm also on those people's teams. So like if I say I have a designer on my team, okay, which I do, that designer has her own business. And when she pitches herself and they go, well, do you do content? She says, yes, we can handle that. And she brings that business to me. We're under each other's umbrellas each time. But it doesn't matter to the client. And when you show that much behind the curtain, it makes you look small. And then it's hard to command the prices that you want. You got me? Questions? Let's talk about pricing. Pricing is a big one. I know what you're afraid of. You don't want to overcharge, and you don't want to undercharge. You're afraid if you overcharge, well, they'll run away. And then if you undercharge, then they'll say yes too quickly. And then how am I going to get them to pay more? No, I should have charged more. Maybe they don't respect me because I didn't charge enough. There is no one secret sauce to pricing. Yeah, exactly. You're taking the words right out of my mouth. I've talked about that before. You don't talk about and don't price what you're worth. My fear in pricing for you is that the more you explain away your pricing, the weaker you look. Right? So you don't go, well, I have to charge this because of this. You're not apologizing for the prices that you're naming. You're not apologizing for that. Hang on. A lot of people do that though. And so what happens is you look at what it's going to cost you to do this project and you just cover that, and then you're like, oh, is that a lot of money? Then you're like, but I need to make a little money, and you add a little bit more, and then you go, oh, that's too much, and they'll never pay for it. So what happens is you start doing everything at cost, which is crazy. Ridiculous. You can't do that because you're not making any money, and then you're really, really busy doing work that you're not getting paid for. What you pay, the cost of what you're doing, is the base cost. And then on top of that, you figure what is the value of this to that person. I've said this before, I've written about it and talked about it quite a bit, that it's a problem when you start thinking that you should charge what you're worth. Because then you start thinking, like I said, about like my mother being like, oh, honey, you're worth $1 million. Well, you can't charge $1 million because your mother thinks you're worth $1 million. You have to charge what it's worth to that person. And so you have to feel like, are they going to pay? I've used this example before. Is someone going to pay $1,000 for a press release because you got your MFA? Nope. Because a press release shouldn't cost $1,000. Maybe $500, maybe. Usually they pay more like $300 for a press release. That's just what that's kind of the market value of that, because let's face it, press releases are not setting the world on fire. It's a function. Now, someone wants to hire me to help write their book or work on their book proposal. That's going to cost more because you're using, this is more valuable to you because then you're going to have a book proposal out of it. So it's the value to the person who needs it. I know this is like very basic, but look, when you're starting out in business for yourself, you're not necessarily like an MBA and everything about economics. My mother always said too, don't sell out of your own pocket. When I used to sell jewelry, when I was in my like late 20s, early 30s, I sold jewelry on the side in the direct sales network marketing business. And I had a hard time selling jewelry that was like, like a $200 necklace, because I thought, oh my God, I wouldn't spend that on this. I don't have $200. So I would feel bad about charging someone $200 because I thought I couldn't afford that. That's not the point. The point is you are not the client. Even if that client is around your age or they came from the same city, I don't know. There's a tendency to think, oh, well, we got to keep it all cheaper. I've got to do everyone a favor again. Oh, what my mom said, don't sell out of your own pocket. Just because you don't have the money in your pocket doesn't mean you don't ask for that. So if I don't have $200 in my pocket, does that mean I'm afraid to say, like, ask you for $200 because I don't have $200? It's like the golden rule gone wrong, because you think, well, do unto others as I would have done to me. Charge unto others as I would be charged. Thank you for all the love. This must hit home with you. But do you see what I'm saying? You get like, it's kind of scary, right? Because you're like, well, I can't charge it because I wouldn't pay it. Bullshit. That is total bullshit. If it is worth it, what is it worth it? $500 in the grand scheme of things is nothing. When you're starting, what are the necessities to start? It's a website necessary. You're joking, right? Of course. Of course, when you're starting out. But here's the thing. Just because you have a website does not mean you are in business. That's like the modern version of the business card, which still exists. People print up business cards. They think it makes them, okay, now they're that thing. Not so fast. I'll tell you what, I met a gentleman at an event the other night who is something like a brand storyteller. I wasn't really sure what he was saying about that. I think he was in web design or something like that. And he said he wanted to build a public speaking career. Great. He created a website with a smart name that had to do with public speaking, and then had no speaking experience yet, though. Have a website first before scoping, because people ask me for a website. I don't have one yet. Well, look, you got to get the website up, but you don't do either or, you do everything. You can start scoping, but you better get something up there fast. You make that your biggest priority, because how are they going to find you? At the very least, you could be giving out your email, but you need a website 100%. But don't build the house and expect people to come over to it. You know, that's like, I bought the chips, where's the party? Why isn't everyone showing up? That's not how it works. So this gentleman wants to start a public speaking business, and he has the name and the website, and he's like, now I should have this business. And I was like, you got to start speaking. The idea, great that he has a website, but he's got literally nothing to put on there because he's done no speaking. So I would have probably not bought a website on a thing I didn't do yet. I'd probably just have my name as the website and then add and bulk it up with more speaking. What he has to do is start by speaking for free. Sorry. If you want to do something, you have to be doing it. You don't get paid from the get-go just because you're a good guy or a smart lady, right? So I've done a ton of speaking for free. I don't do as much speaking for free anymore because I don't have to. But sometimes I do. If it's a nice opportunity and I am building a relationship there and I see some potential, there's a whole bunch of times when you should work for free. I actually did a post about that. I should recirculate that one. But hang on. Any questions about the pricing thing? So there is no one magic thing for pricing. If you say, well, I should get $300 an hour because I have an MBA. Well, it only works that way if the person on the other end is willing to pay that. So you have to, it's a matter of what the market requires. You know, you have to have some proof behind what you do or some value. Do a few cheaper and have some people give testimonials. It's another way to get paid. And then you can gradually, you know, you can charge more. But I think it's crazy when people say charge out of the gate an astronomical amount because, look, I don't know that people are willing to pay that right away. I don't think that you should undercharge, and you know, you should do a little bit homework and figure out what is undercharging, because my God, if something is way too low, I question its value. I really do. Now, what about the proposal? People say, well, throw something together, you know, put together a proposal and send it to me. That's what I do too. If I kind of want to work with someone, I say, well, show me what you could do. That's what the proposal is. And you know what I used to do? Spend like 6 hours creating like literally a 5 to 7 page proposal that was like totally intimidating and it was just way too much. And I did scare some people away. A lot of times they're like, just shoot me an email with some ideas. I don't put a price on a proposal right away. I need to get buy-in. I got a hair in my mouth. I can feel it. You need to get buy-in on what it is you're doing first. Do you hear what I'm saying? You need to get a sense. Well, there's a few ways I'm looking at this, John. We could create a this and this and this and this, and that would be a bigger thing. Or we could just do this. Like, give people options. They go, well, I like this idea. Then you're honing the idea. Then you put a price on it. They go, yeah, we like all this. We want the premium package. Oh, and we want it yesterday. That's going to determine price. Then if they say, well, we want to think about it and follow it in the next, like, 6 months, we'd like to wrap it up. Now, that's a proposal of ideas. Like, it's the ideas proposal. That's the romance time. I look at proposals as like a love letter. This is the promise. This is the good feelings. This is what we hope to do. This is the vision. Right? That's what you want, is like someone to read the proposal and go, oh my God, I need this person. So keep it fairly short. Define their problem as you understand it based on your other conversation, if you have talked to them. And then you say, here's what I understand your problem to be. Here's what I would, as a rule, try to do. Here's what my goals would be. Here's what I understand you want. Bullet, 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 bullet. Here's some of the ways I would expect to do that. They go, oh my God, I love it. Can you give us an idea of what that would cost? When do you need it by? What are the time frame? Right? Because one of the worst things ever for people who work on their own is scope creep. I have done that, where it was like, oh, you'll pay this much. And you'll pay this much at the beginning, this much at the end, but the end doesn't get defined. And then it's going on, and they're delaying. You don't want someone else's indecision to affect when you're paid. You can take all the time you want to decide on a thing, but I need to know when I'm getting paid, because that's not fair, right? So I create in my, once they do a proposal, say they like this, this, and the other thing. Then, once you do that, you create some kind of contract or agreement and say, this is the suggested terms of the contract. Here's what here's what it would cost, right? And here's the beginning and end date of the thing. And you put in the wording for that to say, like, this will be finished by this date. If there are delays, blah, blah, blah. If there are delays in this project, this much should be paid by X date. If there are delays or you go beyond this date, we will proceed at an additional fee of X number of dollars per hour. You want to disincentivize the hanging on of projects by making sure that by this date, either we have this done or we don't, and then we need to know from there. You need to be able to control your time. Otherwise, you have people who say they're going to pay you 6 months from now. You can't wait that long. It's not fair. It's not fair for someone else to wait and sit on it and decide, and then you not get paid. So you've got to put terms on. I hear this from so many people that they get scope creep. Things add up. Now, what happens if they go, hey, do you mind adding this thing in? And what about if we added this? We love this idea. You don't want to deter it by making them feel bad, like, ugh, that's more work. I don't want to do more work. You should want to do more work. If it's reasonable, you wedge it in. And you say, well, let me rework the agreement so that we're on the same page. Because if you start adding stuff in and it's outside the agreement, now they don't respect the agreement anymore. So then you say on there explicitly, if there are things that they want separately, then they say, hey, can we, this wasn't the, excuse me, this wasn't the original agreement, but can we do X, Y, Z? You say, great, why don't I get you an estimate for that? Maybe it's a small estimate. You say, I'll do an addendum to our agreement. We'll just add that on. It'll just cost about this much money. I anticipate this many hours. Boom. Make sense? Yes. I do teach this stuff one-on-one in my coaching. I have a limited scope, limited time for the one-on-one coaching, but I do it on Fridays because I have the rest of my week kind of scheduled out with other coaching appointments. But if you need, it depends on what it is you need. But you know how this is called Power Lunch? We're just about out of time too, almost. I do private power lunches. Doesn't have to happen at lunchtime, but we call it private power lunch. And if you're interested in that, email me. Hit me up here. Michael Neely knows I worked with Michael. He's on Periscope right now. He's a fantastic guy, sharp. But there's some wrestling to the ground that you have to do to figure out what it is you stand for. But maybe it's not about that. Maybe you're struggling with a proposal. You're struggling with a presentation. Basically, I can do those things. I do them well. And so I do like a 1 hour, what's a little over an hour of time that we get together. And if you're interested, you just reach out to me and I can easily set up a time, and you can even just schedule it, pay for it online, done. It's, less than $400, and you leave with a recording of the session, you get feedback, you get really like wheels on the ground with whatever efforts you're looking into, and I can do more than one session if you're interested. But here's the last point about this. We've talked about services, talked about making sure you present a united front, offer more in terms of your services, rather than worry that you want to keep tasks small so that you're not too busy. The opposite. Oh, Michael, thank you. What a nice endorsement. Thank you for that. You also want to be thinking about different service offerings. How can you beef it up and give more to the people who want more and give them options for that? You also want to be careful not to explain away pricing and not minimize it and worry that, oh, I'm charging too, oh, it's too much money. Oh my God, sticker shock on your own stuff. Stop it with that. Really. You must figure out what the basic cost is by what you're going to have to pay people to help you do. You're going to hire a designer. You're going to hire someone to help coordinate the project. That goes into the cost of the project. It's not all profit. You're paying. It's how businesses operate. So you have to think about that and make sure that your time, you're being paid for your time and effort and talent and expertise as well. Remember, ideas are free. They can be free. I give away a lot of ideas for free. It's the execution that costs money. And lastly, the proposal of making sure that you do a short, fervent love letter that outlines what you'd like to do with them, that it creates momentum and excitement, and then you must follow up. Ask. Don't say, oh, I hope to hear from you. When can we follow up? When's a good time to discuss through it? Maybe they'll say, we don't need this, we do need that. Do you know what that'll cost? You say, let me work out the numbers. Then you send an agreement and say, how does this look to you? And you negotiate it. That's how that works. You want people to hire you again and again. The last point I'll make before I let you go, it's a very quiet group today. You guys are usually very fired up. It's very quiet, I guess because I've been off the power lunch thing. And you blabbers too. Nice to see more of you have joined. I'm listening and ready if you have questions. Well, thank you, Grace. Here's my last thing. Just as you don't want your client to see all the operations and under the hood and behind the curtain, it is not their business or interest. You just create confusion and concern. The other thing is to not let the clients know about all your other clients. They do want to know that you're busy and that you have other great clients. Even, hey, if it helps name drop, terrific. But don't play the busy card unless you're trying to reduce the amount of work you have with that person. You know what I'm too busy for? People who don't pay me quite what's worth it to me, or that at work I'm not interested in doing. That's what I'm too busy for. But if you kind of cry this busy cry wolf of the busy thing too much with your clients, they start to worry that you're not really focused on them. And they actually, if you turn away a lot of business because you're too busy, well, you might create a little bit of demand, but really the concern is that people are going to stop coming to you. So if business is a priority, you want new business, no one gives a flying fuck how busy you are, honestly. So stop telling everyone how busy you are, because it hurts business. People tell me they're so busy. I go, oh, but what you're saying is you're not important enough for me. You can say, hey, this sounds like a great project. I'd love to do it. Would you be able to hold on it till the first of the month? Could we talk then? Like, try to negotiate if you really want that. Negotiate for that. But don't just say, oh, yeah, my plate's full. I've done that. As I've said, I bitched about it on my blog, about how I always hear about writers who won't work. And then I write to them and confront and say, hey, here's some opportunities. Maybe they don't want the opportunity. Maybe they are too busy because they don't really prioritize new business. But what a shame for them to just say, yeah, I don't think I have time. I've had so many people say that. And I guarantee you they're not making that much money. I just know it. There's a way to do it. And you have to stop thinking so small. It doesn't serve you or your business. So that is the deal. That's what it takes to start thinking like a real business and acting like it. Does it mean you need a business name? Does it mean you need a really fancy website? I don't know. Fancy? I mean, websites are a commodity now. You can get one, a good one, for someone to design it for you for around $1,200. $1,200 might seem like a lot, but if you're selling out of your own pocket. But honestly, to have a really fantastic thing, I really am afraid for you to make your own websites. I am. Because I want you to be good at what you do. You're not necessarily great at design or UX or how that thing works. And being able to, get professional help to make sure. I mean, if you were opening a store, would you go, no, I'll make my own sign and go up on a ladder and take some paint and a brush and start painting on the wall? No, you would hire a professional signage company. So I don't know why it is that people are saying they're going to do their own websites. Sure, there's a lot of things you can do for free. You can do lots of things for free. You could make your own website, which some of them are very nice, but I really think you should get a professional consultant to take a look at it. Because how you think you'd use the website is not how people will use it. I promise you that. So, you wouldn't write your own sign. You wouldn't probably make your own clothes or cut your own hair. I know I don't. So why would you skimp on the one thing that represents your business to everyone else? I don't know. I have, I forget the name of my WordPress theme, but WordPress is very complex. There's so much you can do, which is why I was hesitant to design I knew I wasn't going to design it myself. No way. I forget what mine starts with. It starts with an A. I have no idea. But it's not about could you say what's the best design? What's the best template? It really depends on your brand and your business. Are you communicating what that brand is in a clear way that makes me feel that my issues are being heard? That's everything. Whoa, we're way past 12:30. SEO is key, but you know what? SEO isn't everything anymore, honestly. I might have to disagree with you there. Like people say, oh, don't post your content multiple places, it hurts SEO. It depends on your goal, because if your goal is to have a lot of people read your work or something, like your blog, and it's better for SEO if you only keep it on your blog. Well, if your blog is really small, like mine is pretty small, it doesn't pay to have only it there. So, I get that SEO is important. I'm working with some clients who are really obsessed with it, and it has to happen for a while, but it's clunky and it's awkward. And I just don't think the future is SEO. Look, I'm not a tech person. You can tell me I'm wrong, but that is not where my head is at all the time. You're only like, how do I catch people and bring them to my site? It's like, great. And when they get to your site, then what? Then what the F are they going to do there? Is it clear? Are you communicating to me? To me, SEO is like laying out cheese for mice. Ooh, I'm going to trick them into coming into this closet. I'll put all the right cheese out, and they're all going to follow me to that closet. And then inside the closet's my website. And once I get there, bam, there's my website. Most people's websites suck so hard. They suck. So great, you got the cheese. You got the cheese. You got me in there. Now what? If you can't close with me as a person, as you can't get me in the sales funnel, so now I'm engaged with you, the website is like, what's the point? I'm not a numbers person. And it's like, I'm not about all just this many numbers. Like even Ramit Sethi, who you know I love, the Zero to Launch guy, he says, you want to blast out to 100,000 people, or would you rather have 2,000 people who are actually engaged? You want an engaged crowd. And when you're doing business, you want engaged customers. So trying to hit everything and do everything, cover everything, is a losing battle. It really is. It's not the focus or future of your business. Now that is a power lunch. It's 12:30. That's it. You can catch this on catch.me /Terry T, I believe is what I have. Yeah, he is the best. So if you want to catch what you didn't catch on this Periscope, probably the quietest Periscope I've ever done. I don't know what's going on. Is it a Jewish holiday? Who knows? But thank you guys. Get on with your day and get to it. Talk to you later. Oh, wait. My God, this is what's so stupid. This is what makes me a bad business owner. I didn't even tell you. I'm doing an event next Wednesday here in New York City, September 30th. September 30th, go to my website, terryjaspiccio.com, type it in here, and you will see an event that I'm doing that's called Clients Everywhere, 5 brand building strategies to win new clients next month. And there's a limited seating, obviously. It's going to be, that's right, Avada. Very good. That I would love for you to come if you can. It's like $35 a pop. Go to my website, use that link because I get credit for bringing folks in. And it's going to be a really great qualified night of people who are really there because they want to be there. Networking, talking to each other, and I'm going to do a whole thing on the 5 areas where you can really sharpen up your game and your skills to start winning new clients. Sound good? So hit me up over there and put your name on the old email list and you will get a free copy of my book, Take the Work Out of Networking. All right? We'll talk to you soon. See you on the flip side.